Alright, YouTube, we're doing a three-tiered life jacket, life vest rack. It's going to be 10 foot long. There's the end of it up there. And there's basically the racks. That's how we're welding them all on there. What that is top rail fence post. It's about 1.25 inches in diameter, and we found some plugs that actually fit the ends of those pipes. That's why we're using that. That's 1x2 rectangular tubing. And then we're using the 1.25 inches by half channel to lay the tubing into. That's what we're doing over here. There's our 1.5 inches by 1.25 inches by half tubing. The tubing lays right down in there. Once we get these cleaned up, we weld it across here and here. And then we turn around and weld this onto the bottom or across the top. But here's this is a jig that we made for our Dewalt Chop Saw. Just reach over here, pop that loose right there, move it up and down, clamp it wherever we want, and make multiple parts. As you can see, we got quite a few. This is enough to build one 3-tiered rack, well, plus 20 pieces. So that's how we did that. And that's just basically some 1x6 deck boards laying on the bottom and some 2x4s ripped to the proper height, so they lay up there, even coming across. And then deck boards on the top where we could screw our little rail down here, where we could use our vice grip clamp to get the proper cuts. So we cut our pipes over here, and we took the time here to take some of our leftovers and weld those together and then grind them down. Don't think we're going to do that anymore. That took extra 15-20 minutes. And but anyway, we did that to save bunch of pieces. But first of all, after we cut them, then we bring them over here. This is a little wooden jig that we made here, and it's got 3 standoffs. One down at the bottom there that fits that pipe just perfectly. One here, that's where we do our marking, and then one up here. So we just take a mark slot basically, and we make a mark right there, and then one on the other side. You can see the mark stove. He's already turned that around there, and then he uses a wire brush on a grinder to grind the marks off, so we don't have to smell it while we're let me get around you, while we're welding. So you see one mark on this side, one mark on that side, fairly close together. He'll clean that up with a grinder. Then we take that part over. There's some of them right there. We take that part over to this jig here. We got one down at the bottom, a channel receiver. Then we've got 2 channels here, and then 1 channel up the top. That way we keep everything lined up. And that channel there is cut at a little bit of an angle, so while you're welding these 2 pieces together, you don't oops and weld the one that's, this one here is welded to this 2-inch square. This one we just lay up in there. That's our production piece, ready to be welded right along here to that pipe. And what we did was we just made this where we could clamp it to the table. And there's our ground clamp. And we come up here, and we sacrificed one of our clamps for the job. We can always put it back together if we want. And so we basically, when we pop that loose, that ground clamp just, this is tacked on there. Well, I can't do all that with one hand, but anyway, you get the picture. So anyway, there we go. So that piece actually fell out just a second ago. So anyway, that one's ready to weld. And then after we weld that, then we take it over and clean it up a little bit. And then we've got a jig made for that. Where's the jig? Right here. Where we center all these things on here. It's the right length spacing between. There's a jig right there. So we lay that in there, clamp it across here to hold it. That gives us our spacing here. So our channel comes over and stops where it's supposed to. This is where we square it. We check it with a square before we tack it. And we tack it down and just move it. You can see where the line is there. We've got to check, we just have a check on there. We'll make sure that we're still running about right. You got lines as we go just for reference for checking. But anyway, that's the way that works, and that's been working pretty good. And once we're done with that, then we take 3 of those, space them apart like we want them for whatever size life jackets that we're going to have. Universal's on the top of one, and then universal, which is a large, extra large, and the next rack medium. Next rack is either medium, or we've got youth spread out on some of them. So 3 of these racks, going to be 3 of them up in the air with legs on the back and 1 leg in the front with some 45s coming off of it. 1 long set of legs in the back to sturdy the whole thing. And then we're going to have a set of axles just like on the bottom of that MIG cart that we built. And we'll have the axles where we can just hooks on the bottom of the life jacket rack, so we can pick up the life jacket rack, kick the wheels, kick the axle up underneath it, set the life jacket rack back down on the axles, pick it up and go. We'll have 3 racks with 1 set of axles, so we can just pick up and go whenever we want to. Might as well put in a plug for the Harbor Freight MIG, item number 68886, 6 3/8 and a 6. MIG, 180 MIG, the black one. And then the good old trusty Plasma Harbor Freight, 60767 is the item number. Both awesome machines. Well, the welding lead a little bit short on the MIG, but you can buy an aftermarket from USA Weld that gives you an extra 3-foot, 10-foot leads. I'd recommend that highly, and it's not too hard to put it together. But if you buy the warranty, you got to finagle around with some pins and stuff so you can put the old one back in before you call and complain about some kind of warranty issues. And that's 5 years I've done without a MIG and a plasma. Old Stoby over here, Stobart, hey, hi to the camera. He's the one that told me, he said, well, if you get a MIG, you really like it. And I did, and I really like it. But that's my, 3rd plasma cutter, I think, now? Yeah, 3rd. 3rd plasma cutter. So I might as well take you around back here and show you why I had 3. That was my 3rd plasma cutter. Because that right there is one of the plasma cutters. If you can't see on the side of that box, it says longevity. Longevity, yeah, they last a really, really long time, as long as you don't use them. But that particular unit is a Weldall 160 Ti by Longevity. It arrived non-working, and it's been that way ever since. And I had the pleasure of having a Cut 50 plasma cutter before that, and a 518D, which is a multi-unit plasma cutter, TIG, and arc welder. And boy, was a TIG and arc welder a piece of crap. And this one here, the TIG actually works on it, but none of the pulse or AC balance or anything like that works. Just switch on the torch doesn't work. The foot pedal, it does work actually. The arc welder, I don't see how anybody could use that piece of shit. The arc welder, it's like when you're trying to strike the arc, it's at some low voltage setting, and as soon as you get the arc going, then you get full amperage. So if that don't sound like that's difficult to strike an arc, then, well, maybe you're not a welder, but anyway. TIG seems to work okay, as long as you don't want any of the fancy functions that's built into the machine that you paid for. You know, the AC balance, the pulse, and all that. And, excuse me, any of the AC functions, it won't TIG on AC, so forget aluminum or anything like that. So you buy really expensive stuff from Longevity. They got a 5-year warranty, but if you're like the other guy that was like me, he took that same unit right there and beat it to death with a sledgehammer on a YouTube video. I can understand fully, because that one's been sitting there for 5 years. Ever since the day it arrived, it didn't work. Longevity, well, I bought a Cut 50, a 518D, and a diesel generator. Diesel generator run for 5 minutes and quit. Until almost a year before we finally got that running, and it still won't charge its own battery. So what good is a generator that can't charge its own battery? You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what's left. I traded the 518D and the Cut 50 and paid some extra and got an upgrade to this unit. This one arrived, it wouldn't work. Diesel generator, no shit, took almost a year, 10 months to get it finally where it would actually throw 220 volts and 110, but still won't charge its battery with 12 volts DC. So if you guys want to buy a longevity welder, go right ahead. My blessings to you. Poor souls. You're going to get screwed. And might as well spend your money on a Chicago Electric from Harbor Freight so you can get your work done. Alright, YouTube. First prototype on the 3-tier live jacket rack at the Paddle In Rafting Company. And y'all enjoy. Talk to you later.